So, why does Pakistan's criminal justice system feel, well, kind of stuck in the past? Today, we're going to dive into a really fascinating analysis that says the system is basically having a colonial romance, and that's a huge problem for a modern country.
And honestly, this one sentence from a recent piece in Dawn it nails it. The whole idea is that the system isn't just old, it's actively holding onto a past where the main goal wasn't justice for regular people, but control by the state. That's a huge difference.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll unpack what this whole colonial romance thing is really about. Then we'll look at the crisis it's creating right now. After that, we'll dig into why it's so darn hard to change, what a better path might look like, and finally, why this really, truly matters to everyone. Okay, first things first. What on earth does it mean for a justice system to be romancing its colonial past? Well, think of it like this. It's about holding on tight to an old identity, a purpose that just doesn't fit anymore. The main point here is that the system's DNA, its very blueprint, comes from before independence. And back then, its job wasn't to serve you, the public. Nope, it was to control you. And the scary part? That basic design has never really been fixed.
Now, you'll see these components, police, courts, all that, in any criminal justice system, right? But here's the kicker the analysis points out. They don't work together. They're all operating in their own little worlds, like separate kingdoms that don't talk to each other. And that, well, that's a massive part of the problem.
So how does all this baggage from the past translate into a real crisis today? Well, you just have to look at the numbers. They tell a pretty scary story.
You've heard the saying, right? Justice delayed is justice denied. Well, for millions of people, that delay is basically forever. The system is just buried under a mountain of cases, and that directly crushes the lives of everyday people who are just waiting.
I mean, get a load of this number. Over 2.5 million pending cases. That's not just a number on a spreadsheet. That is millions of actual human lives just stuck in limbo. And the real kicker, 82% of them are at the local level, exactly where justice is supposed to be the closest and quickest.
And look, it's not just about how long things take. It's about whether they work at all. For the most serious, heinous crimes, the conviction rates are, well, they're shockingly low. We're talking 10% in Sindh. 10! That tells you the system is failing at its most basic job, holding people accountable.
Okay, so the problems are obvious. The numbers are just staring us in the face. So what gives? Why hasn't anything really changed? What's stopping real reform?
Well, the analysis points to a real toxic mix of roadblocks. From the inside, you've got agencies that just don't want to change or have anyone looking over their shoulder. And from the outside, there's just no real political motivation to tackle this huge long-term project. Put them together, and you get this powerful force that just keeps everything exactly as it is.
And this right here, this is the core of that internal resistance. Every part of the system wants to do its own thing in its own little bubble with no one watching. I mean, how can you possibly fix a system when none of the parts will talk to each other or let you look under the hood to see what's broken?
And guess who pays the price for all this? It's the working class, the regular folks. They're the ones who bear the brunt of all these flaws, the delays, the corruption, and they're the ones with the least power to actually stand up and demand that something changes.
But it's not all doom and gloom. The analysis doesn't just point out what's wrong, it actually lays out a path for how we could build a modern system that really works.
So it really comes down to a choice between two very different paths. You've got the old colonial way, rigid, secret, all about protecting the state, and then you have the modern vision, flexible, transparent, focused on serving the public, and actually welcoming new ideas and new people to the table. So how do we get to that better future? Well, the path forward is all about making some big, fundamental changes. We're talking about smashing those silos, right? Investing in new technology and training. And maybe most important of all, throwing the doors open to public oversight and bringing in some outside expertise.
And this is where things get really interesting. Who are these new people we're talking about? Instead of a closed-off system run by the same old players, imagine an open one that brings in people from all over. Tech companies, mental health professionals, human rights groups, people who actually advocate for victims. It's a total game changer. All right, so after all that, you might be thinking, okay, it's a big, complicated bureaucracy. Why should I really care? The answer is simple, because this stuff has a massive impact on your daily life.
It really all comes down to one word: trust. Trust is the foundation of public safety. I mean, think about it. If you don't believe the system will treat you fairly or actually get anything done, are you going to report a crime? Are you going to volunteer to be a witness? Probably not. And when that happens, the whole system just starts to fall apart. And this chart lays it out perfectly. You've got two roads. A good justice system creates this amazing upward spiral of trust and safety. But a failing one, that creates a downward spiral of mistrust and chaos. There's a straight line from what happens in the courtroom to what happens on your street. You just can't deny it.
So we're going to leave you with this one final, really powerful question that the analysis raises. Politicians, they often go for the easy, short-term wins. So what's it going to take to make them see that you can't have real peace, real order, without a justice system that actually serves its people? That's the real challenge, isn't it?